Welcome to the Jim Fleming Show on the Rhody Sports Network. From Learfield, tonight's show is brought to you by Pizza Gourmet. Rhode Island's wood-grilled pizza crust is a proud sponsor of URI football. Dunkin' Donuts, sip the Rhody way. By Rhode Island Medical Imaging, the official medical imaging company of URI Athletics. Newport Propane, Rhode Island's #1 choice for all your propane needs. Ortho Rhode Island, the official orthopedic and sports medicine provider for URI Athletics. And by Dave's Fresh Marketplace, better food, better service. Here's your host, Steve MacDonald.
All righty, welcome once again to the Mews Tavern. It is URI football time with the head coach of the University of Rhode Island Rams football team, Jim Fleming. Got a big one coming up against Campbell on Saturday, another night game under the lights at Mews Stadium, a 6 o'clock start. Tickets 874-RAMS. GoRhody.com if you want to get involved. The paparazzi is all over here. There's Meg.
It's hard to keep them away sometimes.
It really is.
I mean, they just chase us all over the place.
We just wanted a booth in the corner. That's all. Spend a little quality time together, you know? And now
Princess Di had nothing on us, man.
Go see Taylor Swift just took a table down the street here. Everybody go downstairs and bug her for a while, will you? Want to thank our friends at Rhode Island's #1 choice for all your propane needs. That's Newport Propane, family owned and operated since 1959. Newport Propane will treat you like part of the family. Visit them at newportpropane.com. We've got a boatload of guests. We've got you, Coach. We're not overlooking you at all. You're the star of the show.
Please
but,
do.
Chris Lorenti is going to be up, the defensive coordinator for the University of Rhode Island. And Cole Brockwell is going to be with us as well. It's a family affair on Saturday for the Brockwells, right?
No doubt.
We got Dad, Mark, going to be up here, and Uncle. Your uncle's going to be here too, right? So that's Kurt, right?
Yep.
So it's Mark and Kurt.
Hall of Famer, Mark.
Yeah, it's a great reunion weekend. Let's start there, Coach. 40th anniversary of the 84-85 teams for URI football, the greatest couple of years in the history of the program. You know, and so many good things. Both teams were 10-3. Both teams went 2 rounds into the 1AA playoffs, and some of the great players at URI, Hall of Famers, all because those teams went in as a team. And the Brockwells and a lot of other familiar names going to be there to celebrate.
Yeah, I'm excited to see everybody. You know, we'll get a little chance to visit with those guys when they have a reception for them. We won't spend too much time with them, but, I mean, when you look at that squad, you know, over the couple of years that they were so successful, which happens to be the first year I started coaching 39 years ago, which is nuts.
Yeah.
They won the last championship. It's been the standard that we've been chasing since I got here in 2014.
Sure.
So 11 years trying to chase these guys, you know, not trying to erase their legacy and their memory. The things that they did was absolutely incredible. But, you know, it's still attainable here at URI, and that's, you know, we got a conference game this weekend, which will start it off.
Yeah, without question. So it's they're going to have a celebration beforehand, right, under the tent over near Keeney or whatever in that Ellery Pond area, and then make their way over the game. They're going to be honored at halftime. You'll be a little busy at halftime, but get a lot of the players, former players out there to be honored at that time. We got some really good ones coming in. I know I was talking to Terry Lynch, who was part of that group, and he said Tommy Earhart's going to be back.
Yep.
And now we play LIU next weekend at LIU, and that used to be CW Post, which is where Tommy played before he came to Rhode Island.
So we'll expect Tommy to be at both games.
Yeah, I would think so. And
right.
Rooting for the Rams at both games,
No
I would
doubt.
imagine as well. But so he's going to be there. Mike Cassidy, quarterback, wide receiver, DB, safety, All-American safety. Bob White, offensive lineman, who had 10 years in the NFL, one of the great players in URI history, and All-Yankee Conference player. I was talking to Terry about.
Still making great contributions to the game of football in the video technology world right now that's associated with our game. It's really, he's a cool guy. I met him a number of times and really looking forward to seeing him.
Terry said he came into the program and was going to be a tight end. And because he said a skinny guy is like under 200 pounds.
He's what I wish I looked like, you know, because he was a Dallas Cowboy is what it
Cowboys.
was. You know, he played as an offensive lineman, but now he looks like a DB. a guy that is gifted with a lot of good genes.
That's right. He doesn't look like the Rhody offensive line, 300 plus. If you ain't 300, don't apply for the job, right?
No doubt.
And we got the Williams, Ray Williams and Gerald Williams. Gerald Williams, a running back. Ray Williams, a DB. And I saw Gerald Williams. I was over at the Bishop Hendricken Hall of Fame ceremony because Jimmy and Billy Barron got in. A couple of former basketball players here at the University of Rhode Island, and their dad was the coach. They get into the Hendricken Hall of Fame. Stone's here. You're a Hendricken guy, right? Absolutely. Next year, Hall of Fame for you next year, Stone. I'm gonna make some calls. But Gerald Williams also got into their Hall of Fame. I got a nice chance to talk to him. He's involved with the talent, or really runs the talent development program at URI.
Well, you think about two significant graduates, a football playing alumni at URI. You look at Gerald, who is running the TD program, which is one of the most inspirational programs on campus, I believe, to be able to give kids in need, an opportunity to get into school and get an education. He runs it like a boot camp. It's very tight. The guys that come on out of there have been tremendous people and gone on to do great things. And then you look at Ray. Ray, was a lawyer down in D.C. He's come back to the university. He's going to be running a lot of our fundraising stuff on a side job, another title that I really don't know what he does have, but those guys, no, he's a significant player in URI administration, and really looking forward to getting to reconnect with him. And both those guys are just quality people and people that represent what kind of person comes out of URI.
Absolutely. And Ray inducted Gerald into the Hendricken Hall of Fame. Did a wonderful job. Very emotional. Just a great story to tell. Eddie Gibbons going to be there. He's working at URI as well. LaSalle grad. Moved on. John Priori is going to be there. I talked to Terry Lynch earlier today. He's having dinner with John, so that's why they couldn't come here. I said, I think they serve food at the Mews, I believe.
They're in town and not here.
Honestly,
they are missing out, man.
Probably want a little more classy, maybe. There might be.
There's
no
place.
Grill.
There's no place more classy than George's spot right here.
Yeah, you got that right. Absolutely. If they're at the Capitol Grill, I can guarantee you Terry's not paying. There's no question about it. So he told me he was going to dinner with John Priori. And I said, well, I'm going to dinner with Mr. Mead because he's got the guy they named the field after, but I got the guy they named the stadium after. I don't even know who Mr. Mead is. But
that's my alias.
That could be it, absolutely. A couple other names that'll be there for halftime on Friday night. Ray Studley, also Tony DiMaggio, one of the great ones. And let's see on my list here anybody else that we've missed. And we'll talk a little more about it when Cole is up here. But Mark Brockwell and Uncle Kurt is going to be there as well. And Griff. And Griff's going to.
I'm thrilled. He's making it back. I mean, it's always good to see him. Obviously the golf tournament, we get together and he gets an appearance. And, when you think about a coach that led those kids and they all believe in everything that he was all about. Pride and poise is what Gerald Williams told me about, pride and poise. And I think those two words are very, very important nowadays, just as it was then.
You are, at your stage of your career, a mentor to so many coaches who are trying to get to where you are, trying to work their way up in this. Like Chris Lorenti, I'm sure will echo that when he gets up here. Griff is ahead of that pack. What do you learn when you have conversations with him that advances you as a coach and as a person?
What's important to me is his opinion on what he sees on the field still.
Still, really, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he has a good eye for things, and he really has a good eye for the quarterback position. He's been extremely complimentary what we've been able to accomplish here, but still have not accomplished what he did. Mm-hmm. But he's a guy that when I look at what his legacy is the quality of human being that played for him, graduated at the University of Rhode Island, have gone on to do significant things in many different areas of the world, the country, and extremely successful people that still have their foundation of understanding of what it takes to be successful from Bob Griffin. So great tribute to him and what he was able to produce with his assistant coaching staff, who I continue to hear great words about.
Very well said, and I agree with you. And I also, from somebody who's watched you coach for 11 years here, you bring those same qualities on the field and off the field. Really, when it's all said and done, that off the field stuff is what lasts the longest. And both Griff and you set a great example for everybody on campus.
You know,
and how to treat
time
people.
tells on that. You know, time tells on that, and I really do. I talk to the kids at times, you know, about I'm really hopeful that, you know, 20, 30 years down the road, the relationship that they have built as teammates right now will carry on in a significant way and always there for each other. If you do that, you've done things the right way. And, you know, let's win a championship in the meantime. I think
no
that's
kidding,
the
right?
big thing.
That's right. We want to do it on the field, too, and you've been doing that for sure with the consecutive winning records for Rhode Island and on our way to more success there, a win against Holy Cross. We'll talk about the Minnesota game in just a bit, but before we get off alums, Bills Dolphins tonight, Thursday night football. Not playing in the game, but on the practice squad roster, Jordan Colbert, so that's a great feather in the cap. And I know Lorenzo Thompson also with the Cleveland Browns on the practice squad as well. Representation at that level, but be rooting for the Dolphins now because Jordan's part of the team.
No, I'm excited for him. It's a great thing, a great opportunity for both those kids to get involved in NFL football. We had a number of other guys that had that dream and pushed it forward. And it didn't happen for some of them, but those two kids got in there and got into the practice squads, which is a great place to start. And I think that there will be upward mobility for those guys as we go down the road. But the one I'd like to mention right now is our boy Sebi De La Sudas, who had a little brief cup of coffee. I think it was with the Jets, and he's back coaching with us, which is really cool to have him there. Yeah, he's just a great guy. He's a great spirit, 3-year captain. Just thrilled that he's back with us.
Not a better example of how to get the job done on the
No
line,
doubt,
right?
no
Absolutely.
doubt.
And I think he was here for 5 years, and he was captain for 18 years, I think, or something.
Or vice versa, one or the other.
Captain of the month every month. I don't know. He always had it. Yeah. When we talked to Gabe a couple of weekends ago, Gabe Sloat, who was captain along with Wes Neal, and Gabe said, I finally wrestled it away from Sebi. he had his name all over that thing for a long, long time. And Julian Hill, who plays for the Camels, or did, is a member of that Dolphins team, a tight end for them in his second year. And he's the first player from Campbell to make it on an NFL roster, so he'll be out there playing tonight. We're going to talk about Campbell in just a second. We're going to be under the lights, 4-2 under the lights, Coach, since we started playing that way. Lost the first couple and have won 4 in a row.
Well, let's make it 5. I mean, it's just win at home. I mean, that is the thing. I'm preaching right now to everybody out there that's listening. Let's get out to the game. It's not yet sold out. There are tickets available. We need the 12th man out there. We need that support. And I'm really hopeful that they'll come flooding in on the gates on game day. But the night games are special, I think. Everybody has a great time. It's a beautiful environment. We got a great night ahead of us. The lights, the colors. It's a great experience. And I tell people that all the time. You've been to plenty of different places, big stadiums, all the rest of it. But a good Saturday at Mead is second to none.
Yeah, and I like the 6 o'clock starts because you start in the sunshine and you finish under the lights.
And you get the sunset, man.
Yeah,
it's all good. Yeah.
Really pretty nice. And I'll tell you what, this Campbell team is tough. First time we're playing them, so a lot of people are unfamiliar. They came from the Big South. And they had dropped football for 58 years. Came back in 2008. They were in a non-scholarship league, the Pioneer League, for a while, and then got into the Big South in 2018, not too long ago, right? And now they are the last 3. I couldn't believe this. The last 3 is Braxton Harris, their new head coach. He was on their coaching staff, and then left for 1 year to go to Houston Christian, and then came back to be the head coach. The last 3 years, number 1 in the FCS, the entire FCS, in recruiting. Number 1 all 3 years. The 2 years he was with Campbell, and the 1 year with Houston Christian, right? Houston Christian. All 3 years, number 1, and they beat out a lot of FBS schools as well. They beat out Cal.
Let me tell you something. That's the most arbitrary ranking. I don't know who's making those things, but
if you're in the running, you got some guys, right?
But Will's down at Lamar. He had to play Houston Christian last year, and he said going into that game that they had creatures. That they had brought in. They'd really recruited well with a number of guys. In fact, the defensive end, when I went back and watched that game in preparation for this one, it was, I think, a 3rd-round draft pick by the Philadelphia Eagles by way of some other institution. When I look out on the field versus Campbell, there's a number of guys right now that are reminiscent of Isaiah Coulter and Aaron Parker and the good ones we've had over the last 10, 12 years. There's extreme talent there, and I think they've got a facility and a product to be able to sell, and they've done a nice job. So we've got our hands full without a doubt. Just coming off a win over Western Carolina against a ranked opponent. They've got great belief, and we're going to have to go ahead and go out there and be ready to go and take one.
They lost at Liberty 41-24 and then won against number 17 Western Carolina 24-16. This will be their third straight road game, and they could move the ball through the air in that game against Western Carolina. Not so much on the ground, but a lot of good work in the passing game. We'll talk to Coach Lorenti about how Rhode Island, not too detailed, but how Rhode Island is, in a general sense, looking to attack that Campbell offense. They're number 6 in the league in scoring early on, and it's kind of skewed because you go out and play Minnesota. It's all a different thing. It'll take a few weeks before that all fleshes out. But they're number 6 in scoring, 24 points per game, and number 5 in total offense, nearly 400 yards per game. So the guys can do a little bit. Chad Moskow is their quarterback. Do you get a look at him, get a couple of thoughts on what you're going to see there?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to see a kid who has mobility. He'll sit back there and all of a sudden do the spin out and start running around and has great ability to extend plays like we all hear about. But he's got good feet. I think he's got a good, accurate arm. He's got good people to throw to. And like you said, you mentioned our defense. I mean, Lorenti will have them ready. We got a good plan versus the people and what they need to do. We just need to go out and play extremely well on both sides of the ball. But Campbell's tough. When I turned on the film, I went, damn. Because I was hoping, you might get a little something, a little first year in. You guys are not going to know what CA plays all about, but I've been down south enough, and particularly in the state of North Carolina, they've got athletes, and they've been able to find them.
Yeah, they hopped in from the Big South, and last year, their first year in our league, 5-6, 4-4 in the league. They went right to work, and this year, I think they're going to be a tough out, but we got them at Mead, so hopefully we fill the place. 8-7-4 Rams, especially with that 84 and 85 teams being recognized as well. Let's make it just an unbelievably fun night at Mead Stadium on this Saturday night. 8-7-4 Rams, GoRhody.com for tickets. Minnesota, Coach, guarantee game for you. That first quarter, 3-0. And they could not work the ball on the run. I want to talk to Coach Lorenti about that when he's here, too. You really kind of forced them to change what seemed to be their game plan going in, keep it on the ground, and they eventually had to go to the air.
Well, I think that's the way you go with defensive football. Try to take away what they do best, which you anticipate them doing, then make them beat you left-handed. But, watching the tape and watching the game, it was awesome. Defensive linemen were square. They're in their gaps. They were smashing it. And, Lorenti's an excitable dude, which is really good.
Is he really?
And got, great passion with that defense. And
I hadn't noticed.
Somewhere along the line, he came up with some wide-eyed, said, "We're smashing the run game. We're smashing it, man." I said, "Yeah, we'll keep doing it, bro."
And they had their number 1 running back who wasn't there the week before.
Yeah.
So I think they thought they were going to come in, just control that game, keep the clock moving, and just workmanlike get this thing done. But they had to stop and think a little bit and make some adjustments in order to get where they wanted to go.
Yeah, we helped them too. We've been in these games before. We've talked not necessarily with this group, but you and I have been through the years. And, you got to play a very solid game. You can't give up the ball. You can't turn things over. But when you look at some of the field positions that those guys on defense have to contend with, and then the big stop, and right before the half, we turned it over. It could have been 24.
Yes, right.
And it ended up 17. I walked in at halftime. I said, right on, man. We got 17-0. Just got to get something going on offense. But then you look at the time of possession, 20 minutes on the field. It's going to wear.
Yeah.
It's going to wear down. And so when you got a defense, and no matter how big-hearted you are, we'll continue to push to get more. But 40 minutes on the field is too long for people to stay, particularly when they've got different platoons that can come on in.
That second and third quarter combined, I know you have the halftime break, but they just couldn't get the defense off the field because of those quick turnovers. Speaking of that, Coach, plus minus, the takeaways and giveaways, that's the turnover margin right now is -7 for you after a couple of games. Just talk about how you address that. Obviously, it's something that is ultimately important starting on Saturday.
It's a shared responsibility. Obviously, the people on offense or special teams who control the football have the football. And on occasion, defense. When you get your hands on the football, the future of your team is in that hands. Sure. You've got to hold on to the sucker. But the flip side of that right now, you got to take it off of people too. And that's where we've not been good enough on both sides of the ball, both holding on to it, which we've given it away like candy at times, and getting it out. We got to be able to turn this. We got to get the ball taken away this weekend. And when you're -7, that's a dismal number. Because when you look at the end of the season and you start looking at, who's winning, who losing, that number really sticks out to me. So we have our work cut out for us just to keep chipping away at that negative number and be able to get it closer to 0 and then into the positive. But it's going to take a good four turnover game off defensively and hold on to it offensively.
Hey,
we'll find a way.
I say call it 0 and let's see what the CAA numbers are, right?
That's where we're at.
Yeah.
We had 2 preseason games. I think you have a reasonable evaluation of your football team in the Holy Cross game.
Yeah.
This Minnesota game, do I have a great evaluation? No. I think this is the one the rubber hits the road, man. We got to go ahead and evaluate ourselves versus this game, third game in, how well are we going to perform in all 3 phases of the game. And if we're able to do that and get a quality win, then I think that we'll elevate from there.
Those takeaways give you that short field every now and then. I mean, you look at the drives that scored against Holy Cross, 12 plays, 11 plays, 12 plays, 12 plays. Sustained drives. You gotta. There's a lot of work that has to get done to make those work.
No doubt.
It'd be nice to get it at 30 once in a while and punch one in, right?
That's the key. I mean, when you start looking at average starting field position, I saw it. Murph gave me a sheet and where they had started. I think their average starting field position is -24. I would think that the defense is probably more closer to the 50. I think it's we got to give them long fields to defend. And that all comes down to, kicking game as well, which I thought Dev Walter did a great job last weekend, just kind of getting it down and trying to give us the best chance we had.
It says in my contract that I have to ask you about the quarterbacks whenever we do a show.
I got you.
Both Devin and Hunter got time out there against Minnesota. Part of the equation up until now. What's your assessment? Where do we stand?
It's still not absolutely clear, but Dev's the starter. Mm-hmm. He's going in, and we have to build him up. He's a young player that needs, development and repetition and confidence. Hunter's right there. We're going to still play him. He's earned the opportunity to do that. And, we just have to operate the offense better than we have over the first 2 weeks. Not saying it was awful. I mean, we all saw the game, the finish of the Holy Cross game. It was like, oh my, this guy's a dude.
Yep.
I think Hunter also has the same kind of capabilities, and we're going to have to manage that at some point in time. One's got to separate from the other, and then we're off and running. And that's going to happen this weekend. We got to be able to see what's up.
Is there some validity to the premise that the opposing coach has to prepare for 2 different style quarterbacks and 2 quarterbacks that eats up some of their time this week getting ready for URI?
I think that that's a component. If I was defending us right now, I know that I'd be a little bit more prepared for what Dev can do in terms of the quarterback run game and stuff. But the offense doesn't change dramatically when they're in there. Murph will call it a little bit tailored to each guy, but both of them can do it. Both of them can run. Both of them can throw. So we just got to give the supporting cast, give them the protection, do the things necessary to give both quarterbacks an opportunity to be successful, and then see how we can move the ball.
We'll stick with the offense, so when Chris comes on, we'll talk more about some of the defensive questions. But at running back, Devin is your leading rusher right now, 17 carries for him. Malik's got 13, Malik Grant. Gabe Sloat's got 4. Jaden Griffin has 5. Saw some time in that Minnesota game. Deion Silas has 4 rushes so far. Are you waiting in that grouping, other than Devin, for somebody to break out?
Oh, I just want to see the ball handed off more.
Okay.
We run and, we have to be in a situation to allow us to do that, not be in a catch-up situation. But, I'm waiting to see any one of those guys explode.
Sure.
And, it's tough. It's a tough management for the offensive coaching staff with that number of talented players to get them the touches necessary. But, Deion Silas has been here, second year now, just waiting for him to explode. Mm-hmm. Same thing with all those guys. Malik Grant's got great talent. We just haven't been able to get it, consistently going. And if they ever had a time to do it, it would be right now. Mm-hmm. Going into this game, let's get the run game established, and I think everything else takes care of itself.
Greg Gaines and Sean Harris, both transfers coming at that wide out position. Sean had the big catch and run for the touchdown that won you the game against Holy Cross. Looking at camp, those two just excel. I mean, you watch camp for half an hour and you walk away saying, wow, those guys are special.
Add them into Marquise Buchanan and the other guys that we have out there.
Absolutely, right?
But, that one, that was a big play against Minnesota, the one that would turn into an interception where we really thought he got down with possession. That would have given us an early boost. But, yes, you're right. Those guys are very talented. They've done a great job for us, and continued success is what's expected.
Sounds good. We're going to take a break. We'll have you back on the end of the show for a good 15 or 20 seconds to talk about Saturday. But we're going to come up with, I don't know if Chris is next or Cole. Anyone? Cole's eating, so Chris, I think you're up. I wouldn't disturb Cole while he's eating.
No, I wouldn't either.
I make some bad decisions in my life. That's not going to be one of them. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. It's the Jim Fleming Coaches Show live from the Mews Tavern. George McAuliffe. God bless us. Welcome back once again to the Mews Tavern. George McAuliffe hanging out with Jim Tierney. Jim Tierney was one of my best friends growing up. He is now the town manager in Narragansett. Did I get a beach parking pass? No, I did not. No. All those meatloaf dinners my mom cooked for you when we were kids, good enough for you, brother. I'm happy to pay. Don't worry about a thing. Jim Tierney over here at the Mews Tavern. We're having some fun talking URI football. Chris Lorenti is with us, defensive coordinator for the University of Rhode Island, and team photographer Meg Ellis is. Meg has her portable Polaroid camera, disposable. She's taken a couple of pictures with. That's awesome. Oh, yeah. Smile there, Chris. That's perfect. I want to thank our friends at the Pizza Gourmet. That's Jack and Linda Parenti, Rhode Island's Wood Grilled Pizza Crust, proud sponsor of URI football. Order online today at woodgrilledcrust.com. Are you clapping for the Wood Grilled Pizza Crust? Is that what? Okay, sounds good. We are enthusiastic, if nothing else. Woodgrilledcrust.com. Woodgrilledcrust.com. I know you can get it at Dave's Marketplace. I oftentimes get it right there. Chris, I want to talk about a lot of things, Campbell being one, but let's look back to Minnesota first. Very impressive start to that game for the defense for Rhode Island. We talked about it with Coach. Your thoughts on what you saw, especially in that first quarter when I think the Minnesota sideline was saying, hey, wait a minute, let's rethink this a little bit.
Yeah, I think you go into a football game defensively and you're trying to decide, like Coach Fleming said, how to get it left-handed, how to make it play left-handed, and they have a great offense there, a good offensive coordinator, Greg Harbaugh Jr., and he did a really nice job scheming things up. But we decided to go into that game and try to establish some run defense and then load up the box as much as we could and, dare them to throw. And eventually they threw the football, and we tried to adjust to that. But I think the players did a great job all week understanding what our plan was defensively and how we wanted to go about it. And they certainly executed that plan up in the first quarter and into the second quarter. 116
yards rushing, 3 yards per carry. So they were not able to move that ball early on against while they were trying to run it. 20 negative yards, 20 yards of negative offense for them. So pretty impressive stuff. That time of possession, though, 40-20, 2/3 of the game. Rhode Island was on the field, was off the field. The defense was out there. Talk about, were you guys gassed?
Yeah, I think in any football game you're going to play 40 minutes. I think you're eventually going to get tired. But, our guys like to play. We like to coach. We like to be in those moments, be in those situations. And if we want to play less time, we have to get off the football field defensively. Takeaways are a part of that. Getting stops on third down are a part of that. And that's what we're aiming to do. We have to make sure that we fix this turnover margin. We take the football away. And, we're in control of how long we're on that football field. And we have to make sure that we're getting ourselves in situations like third and long and things like that where we have advantageous situations to get off the field.
Had some big plays on defense. AJ's sack came at a great time, pushing them out of field goal position. Talk about that one.
Yeah, AJ's obviously a great player. He's a guy that we try to highlight defensively and try to move him around into advantageous situations. And he's a sponge. He wants to get moved around and get put in different spots. And we have a myriad of guys up front that can do different things. And on third down, we try to get them in situations where they're doing what they do best and they don't have to think too much. And we had a lot of guys in those spots in those third down moments, and they executed excellently. And they did a really nice job.
If you can expand on that with AJ, all CAA player, one of the best linebackers in the CAA without question. I mean, just a fun guy to watch on that. But you're saying, hey, he wants more on his plate?
Yeah, he likes to, obviously he plays on the edge for us. He'll play second level. He'll move around playing the B gap, and we'll line him up in the A gap a little bit. And we'll move him around and line him up on different guys on third down, let him pass rush different body types and different players on third down. And, each week we're trying to grow packages and trying to move him around a little bit, and he's able to handle that, which is great.
So you look at what he's doing and you say that's not the ceiling there. There's more growth for him.
Absolutely. You can do a lot of different things with A.J. Pena, and we're just scratching the surface of it now.
Absolutely. That is fantastic. You got some local guys on defense, Freddie Millay, Emmanuel Gomes, filling in some big spots for you. Really doing a nice job at the beginning of the season. The guys helped you out last year too, but now they're expanded roles for them.
Yeah, those guys know they know the Rhode Island defense. They've been around a lot of football here. They've played a lot of football here, and you can rely on those guys. Those are, trust is a big thing in football, big thing on defense for us, and you can trust those guys. They're going to go in there and execute the communication and execute the play.
And that defensive secondary, got Braden Price back, but everybody else is taking on an expanded role like those guys and others. Is that where this season on defense is going to be answered? If they play up to the level you're expecting, this could be a very successful year?
Yeah, for sure. I think we have a very hungry group on defense. They don't necessarily like how things are being portrayed right now, losing 48-0. They're a hungry group of guys, and they like to go out and play football, and they don't flinch when they have to go out there and play in certain situations on the football field and play for a certain amount of snaps, play for a certain amount of minutes. They like to play football, and if you have that foundation, then you got a really good start with a group of guys. We have a great mix of experienced players and younger guys that have a lot of talent. And we're trying to make sure we create roles for guys and grow their experience here throughout the season.
Coach talks often about that front seven, how solid they are. We mentioned the defensive secondary and where they go, maybe where this team goes, as they continue to improve. But that front seven, pretty solid. You got Cole and Devin who have really stepped up into big roles, joining Gabe and AJ, and then up front with Wes and Malachi. I mean, you've really got some key guys ready to roll.
Absolutely. I think Wesley Neal, Malachi Burby, Gabe Solomons, AJ Pena, those are older guys on the defensive line and on the edge that have played a lot of football for us, and they've seen a lot of different looks, and they've played all these snaps for us within this defense. They know how to handle those situations. And then you have a guy like Cole Brockwell who has a ton of experience here, and he's been, since I got here, I've been coaching Cole. I got here in 2020, and Cole's been in my linebacker room since then. So him and I have conversations sometimes in the meeting room that's just between him and I. And I can kind of look at him and say, hey, remember that time in 2021 when this happened? He says, yeah, I'll fit it like that, Coach. So it's fun to coach those guys that are experienced, and I think they do a great job leading the young guys that we're trying to get involved.
Speaking of leading, Wes is the captain of the defense. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it was awesome that he was voted captain by his peers. I think Wesley leads. He's a passionate football player. Obviously, he's a very good football player. And when you're around good football players, those guys, as a player, you want to be around good football players. So I think naturally our team gravitates towards him, and I think he has an energy about him and a confidence about him that rubs off on others. And that's a guy that you want on your team. There's no doubt about that. And I think when he plays and he can lead by example, the men are going to line up and they're going to follow him.
We mentioned AJ's sack in that Minnesota game. That's the lone sack right now for Rhode Island in 2 games. Talk about the expanded stats, the quarterback hurries, how you assess the pressure outside of just that sack number, and talk about the importance of how that can help support that secondary that we're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the back end and the front working together in pass situations is a big deal. It's not just about sacks. It's about, quarterback hurries and quarterback hits legally, right, which is tough to do now. But it's affecting the quarterback, and that's what we focus on a lot. That's one of our 5 musts on defense is we have to affect the quarterback. We got to have a hand in his face. We got to be in front of him in that pocket. We have to be closing the pocket as much as we can. We have to cage that quarterback so if he looks to escape, he's got a defender in his face. All of those things will take a toll on the quarterback throughout a football game. And, of course, we want to get home more. We want to get sacks, but we're a greedy group. And when we get in the backfield, we don't want to just get a sack. We want to take the football away as well.
How do you assess week to week the amount of blitzing you want to do, and how you want to approach that end of the game.
Yeah, it definitely changes depending upon what the offense is presenting to you and how they're trying to attack your structure and the type of quarterback you're playing against. Obviously, that has something to do with it. We're going to play a lot of really talented quarterbacks that can either get the football out of their hand quickly or can escape in the pocket and move around in the pocket. So, it's going to change week to week whether we want to rush 4 or 3 or 5 or whatever it's going to be, and what kind of patterns we're going to utilize. But it's really based on the quarterback that we're playing and the different protections that they're utilizing.
We mentioned Campbell a little bit with Coach. They have pretty good offense, 24 points per game right now, and they like to throw the ball a little bit. They can talk about what you see with them and just in a general sense what you're looking for to your guys.
Yeah, I think their offense coordinator does a great job stressing you defensively, depending upon what you're playing structurally. You don't really feel comfortable calling plays against him. Sometimes I'm calling plays against a screen in the office, and I'm going, that might not be a good one there. I think he does a really good job testing you structurally, and I think he's got the players in spots that can really hurt you. I think there may be a time where you say, okay, hey, we like this look against that look, but if this guy gets into the backfield, they have a player in that spot that can make a play. He can evade the rush. He can throw it to the receiver who's trying to break her out and try to use scramble drill to his advantage. So I think they do a great job at Campbell at coaching and recruiting, and it shows in that offense. They have talent in spots, and those talented players are really stressing your defense structurally.
They've got Sincere Brown and V.J. Wilkins that can get out there and catch the ball as well. So much more difficult when there are two guys that are capable of taking over a game at that receiver position.
Yeah, of course. You'd love to play against guys that don't have a guy on either side. But this team's got really great receivers on both sides of the field, and it's really not just those two. I think number 13 is a great player. I think they got a lot of guys there that are really talented. Number 17, R.J. Jackson. They got some guys that can really stress you defensively, and it's one of those games where you have to make a decision on how you're going to go about it defensively. Are you going to load a box? Are you going to play more coverage? And I think depending upon the situation of the game is going to dictate that for us. But like I said, our guys are hungry, and they like playing football. And we're going to see talented players every single week in this league. And I think this is just another one for me.
Second year as coordinator, talk about that defensive staff that you have with you. Troy handling the inside linebackers and the special teams coordinator as well. And also a little bit about him, certainly, because he's been here for the long haul. And then also guys like Yanni who have stepped into this program and really had an impact for you.
Yeah, certainly. I think Troy Gilmer and I see football very similarly, which is really nice to have. Troy played linebacker in college. I played linebacker in college. So we see both ends. We see the rush. We see the front. We see the run fits. We see the blitzes, and we see the coverage end too. And so there's times where we might be in a game. We might be in a game planning meeting. We might be watching practice tape, and we'll just kind of look at each other and say, hey, how do you see that? How do you see that? How do we want to go about it? What are different ways that you've done it in the past? So I think Troy's a great guy to bounce ideas off of. Marcel Lazard, our defensive line coach, is a very good football coach. He does a great job with his room. He's got those guys playing structurally the way that we need them to play in that box. And he does a really nice job with the details of that group, and that's a very motivated group to go out there and play. And then Henry Yankopoulos is doing a great job on the back end. Obviously that's a guy who's shown in his career that he has what it takes to be a football coach, and he loves football enough to go chase it down and to go do it. And he's definitely the man you want in front of the room leading those guys.
Not surprisingly, he has a little Chris Lorenti in him during practice. He's a fiery coach. He's a verbal coach. You can see him get up and motivate. It's part of your style. Do you see some of you in him?
Yeah, not necessarily. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I had the chance to coach him for a couple years.
Yeah, right.
So I'm sure that kind of rubs off on him, and that's what he saw for a few years between myself and Jack Cooper previously. So, I think of course he took to the coaches that coached him, and he's trying to learn how to do it. But Yanni's Yanni. He's himself, and he's got his own way of doing things, and I'm learning from him too. There's stuff that he said today in practice that I looked and I wrote it down on my sheet. I said, hey, I'm going to steal that from him. He's got a couple really good ones that he uses just to get guys going, to get guys juiced up. And he's a great coach. He was a great leader for us, and he's doing a really nice job right now for us.
You've been successful at a DC job since you got it. This year coming in a little more comfortable with how all those machinations work?
Yeah, for sure. I think, last year you're definitely focused on getting your staff together and making sure you have your ducks in a row and making sure that the staff that you have knows the scheme. And this year was definitely spent more with the players, developing leadership, developing the young guys and getting around the leaders and talking more with those guys in the offseason, just having personal relationships with the players and being able to pull them in the office and have a one-on-one conversation, whether it's about football or not. I think we've spent a lot of time doing that defensively, and it's showing.
Now, Wesley is the captain on the defense. Will you take him aside and say, hey, here's what I need to convey?
100%. It's not just Wes either. It's Cole, it's Malachi Burby, it's Gabe Solomons, it's AJ Pena. I'm pulling those guys aside as the guys that have been around the program. They've seen, the ups and downs of it. They know kind of the way the season goes with the ups and downs of the season, the ups and downs of the football game. So when I talk to them and pull them aside, I can relate it to something that's happened in years past that they lived already. And they don't want to live, the negative things again. So they're going to go and address those things on their own. And I think as a coach, if you have leaders that you can lean on in that locker room to have them convey a message, it makes your job a lot easier, because when a coach is repeating himself over and over again, it's for a reason, but eventually it gets drowned out. It's going to be 12 weeks of the season, 4 weeks of training camp, and a bye week in between. That's a long time of kind of repeating the same stuff over and over again. And so I think when you get the same message, but you get it from a different person, especially from a peer in a locker room, I think it carries more weight. And we have the guys on defense that are willing and able to do that.
You mentioned Cole. Cole Brockwell is going to be with us after the break, and he is one that stepped up. He had a quality substitute role last year, starter this year. He's number 7 in the CAA in tackles right now. He had 13 tackles against Minnesota, FBS, Big Ten school. Your thoughts about Cole Brockwell?
From the moment I coached Cole Brockwell, he took everything I said very seriously. When you coach Cole and you tell him something, he writes it down. And if you say it again, he's going to write it down again. And he might come to you and say, hey, you said this last time. You said this time. What's so different about it? And I think the details that he has and how he learned the defense and learns situations and learns offense that he's attacking, it's really showing up this year. And I think he's played well for us in the past. He played in a Brown game for us and started for us. He's an experienced football player. He's been around and he knows. And you're seeing Cole Brockwell play techniques that we've been coaching here for years in the linebacker room, and he is a clinic right now with the techniques that he's utilizing. He's playing square. He's using his hands. He's clamping, keeping his eyes up through tackles. Everything you're looking for from a technique standpoint to be able to teach young players how to do things, Cole Brockwell is doing that on tape. And when you do it on tape in a football game, especially in a Big Ten stadium, you can use that tape for years to teach off of. And so I think that's a testament to Cole and how detailed he is and how literal he is when he learns the game of football. And he's able to apply those things that day, that moment after he learns it.
My very good friend Terry Lynch, who is our broadcast partner for the games, we often talk a lot, and he was part of that whole mid-'80s thing happened at URI. And when we talk about Cole, he says, plays just like his dad.
Yep.
Which
Square,
is the highest compliment you can make.
Yes,
hey,
sir.
One more for you before we let you go. Coach Flem, when we had him on, talking about Coach Griff and what he's learned from a mentor to all of us. And Coach Griffin, what have you, Chris, learned from Coach Flem, having been with him for years now?
I've learned a lot from Coach. It's funny because there's times when he's on the headset during game day, and he's saying stuff on the headset, and he thinks I'm not listening to him, but I'm listening to him, and I'm writing notes on it, and I'm paying attention to what he's saying. And we'll have a conversation after that series or after that game or during the week about that. There's times where he'll come in the office and he'll suggest something defensively, and I'm all ears because I know how much experience he has, especially on the defensive side of the football, and how much football he's seen, how much football he's coached. He's coached all these players that have been like this throughout the years. He's coached all these schemes. He's gone against all these offenses before. So he's seen these things unfold in front of his eyes as a defensive coordinator and as a head coach. So I can only learn from that. So I think there's been great moments where he suggested things, and I've said to myself in the back of my head, like, oh, really? We're going to do it that way? And then I think about it more, and I say, I actually see it the exact same way you do, now that I really think about it.
And he grew up on the defensive side of the ball, so he's done what you're doing. 100%. So there's a lot to do.
Yeah, there's great value in having a head coach that coached on the same side of the ball as you, because it doesn't just help me in development, but it helps our defense as well.
Well, you're off to a great start. Not surprisingly, you've done a great job with the defense, both as an assistant and then as the coordinator as well. And Holy Cross, the big play was on the offensive side at the end, and there were other big offensive plays, but the defense really helped win that game in a big, big way. So, and that first quarter against Minnesota was fantastic, and you made them do some things I don't think they expected to do on that Saturday. So congratulations on those accomplishments, but also thanks for being with this team for as long as you have. We hope you stay around forever. You bring that knowledge, the enthusiasm, the leadership to this program, and we appreciate you very much.
Appreciate you, Steve. Thank you so much.
Chris Lorenti with us, and we're going to be back, and Cole Brockwell will give the opposing view on the rebuttal coming up next. Back to the Mews Tavern. Welcome back once again to the Mews Tavern. It's the Jim Fleming Coaches Show. Coaches over enjoying a little dinner at the URI table over there, and we're happy to have you with us here at the Mews Tavern. I want to thank our friends at Ortho Rhode Island as official orthopedics and sports medicine providers for the Rhody Rams. Ortho Rhode Island helps athletes and active people of all ages get together and get better expertise, better care, and better outcomes as well. Learn how Ortho Rhode Island can help you get better at orthopedicsri.com. I did better with that, Coach, right? That's orthopedicsri.com. That's where I stumbled, right? A couple of weeks ago. I've been practicing that one. That is a long orthopedicsri. They put it all one. Cole, you wouldn't understand. No. We got it. Cole Brockwell is with us. Cole is, 7th in the CAA in tackles right now. Did you know that?
I didn't know.
I'm here to bring you all the good news. Linebacker for the University of Rhode Island. You heard Coach say nice things about you. Coach Flem, not really. I didn't ask him about you. But Coach Lorenti talking about how much you mean to this team, how much you contribute to this team. A word about Coach Lorenti and how he's made you better.
Yeah, I mean, he's super detail-oriented, and every day just comes with a lot of intensity, a lot of energy. And, it's definitely infectious, and it rubs off on us in the linebacker room and the rest of the defense. And, yeah, we appreciate him a lot.
And Coach Flem often talks about that front seven, how solid it is. It's as good as any front seven in the CAA, hands down, and really in the FCS when you look around. There are not going to be too many that take a back seat to the linebackers and defensive linemen for the University of Rhode Island. Talk about that synergy between you and the guys in front of you.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. You got AJ, Malachi, Carson Primrose even, and then Wesley, obviously. And, sometimes you got to kind of work off them because they'll try to make a play in one gap, arm over, So, you kind of have to work on them, work off of them because, they're really skilled players and you're gonna have to adjust based on their skill level. But, they're just really, really awesome to play against, really solid in their gaps, do their job. Really well, so it's great. It's great having them.
Malachi and Wes, you're familiar with. You've been around them for a long time and working together. Carson, newcomer from Sacred Heart, all-conference player for a couple of years there. Talk about what you've seen in him and what he brings to the table.
Yeah, I mean, Carson, he comes with a great work ethic. He really fits in with the rest of the D-line, the whole group there. So, he brings a lot of energy. He's twitchy, he's fast, and, it's great having him.
And the other 13 guys that Coach took from Sacred Heart are playing well as well, so that's good.
Yeah.
Hey, we talked about the reunion coming up on Saturday. Mm-hmm. Special for all of us with the 84 team, the 85 team coming back, 40th anniversary, two of the most successful seasons of URI football, 10-3 both years, Yankee Conference titles both years, deep into the playoffs both years. Your dad and your uncle, a big part of that, your dad first, your uncle a little later on. Talk about the family affair with URI and how special this weekend will be.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely very special. I always grew up going to the games, and, it's just awesome having them there supporting me, just at the tailgates even. You got, guys all from that class coming back after the game, so it's just awesome talking to them, and, they really care. So it's just awesome having them around.
Your dad was one of the great linebackers for URI, and you're, as a linebacker, having a terrific start to this year and following in his tradition. How much of what you know at that position have you learned from him over the years?
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely tough on me as a kid. But, he was just, he taught me how to read guards, even fullbacks, when I was younger. And, he just pushed me to be the best that I can be.
I remember when my dad was driving me to high school for orientation. It's the high school that he went to as well. Yeah. And on the way over for orientation, he turned and said, "You do want to go here, right?" So that was it the same for your dad? I mean, was there any choice for where you were going to play football?
Yeah, he's definitely leading me to coming here for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Were you halfway up 95 like my dad was?
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. But that tradition, does he give you input after games? Does he say, "Hey, had a good one, but you just watch this or watch that.
He's actually he's been very positive for the most part. Yeah, he's very encouraging. So not really anything to super like critique about, but yeah, I mean his knowledge of the game. He said he was sweating like in the stands, just being out there, just watching me because it feels like a part of him's out there. So
now, did you were you always a linebacker
Yeah, I was always a linebacker. Yeah.
And did he coach you?
He did coach me, yeah. A lot of running, a lot of bear crawls.
How was he as a coach? Was he tough?
Yeah, he was definitely tough. He was intense, but definitely brought the best out of us, not only me, but the guys I grew up with.
I mentioned to Coach that I was talking to Terry Lynch, and he said, who knows your dad very, very well, and he said that you play like your dad. He's mentioned that a few times over the years. What does that mean to you, to hear that?
I mean, yeah, it means a lot, for sure. I mean, I ran back the tapes of him playing over in the Division I AA playoffs. So, I mean, I've been able to see him play and, obviously try to emulate a little bit of his physicality. And, it's definitely a huge compliment.
I know they had tape back then. Did they they etch it on the stone. You could see them.
Yeah.
But that's and we're so happy that you came to the University of Rhode Island. Talk about that Minnesota game. 13 tackles for you. You were an active guy out there.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a run-heavy game, so kind of knew what kind of looks we were going to get going into it, which definitely made it a little bit easier to fit the run, but definitely wasn't the result we wanted.
Right, exactly, as far as the score goes, but you personally had certainly a lot of good tape to watch with your activity out there. The Holy Cross game, I think you had 6 tackles in that game in the victory for Rhode Island. Assess from last year, where you were an important role player on this team, to a starter now and a guy who's in the top 10 in tackles in the CAA, your development from last year and your role there to your expanded role this year.
Yeah, I mean, I just take the coaching, take take the opportunity and do the best I can. That's all I do, just do my 111. Try to be out there, be a leader, communicate, and, just do my job.
And you and Devin Hightower, are kind of on that same track. Both had the similar roles as far as support roles on this team, and both now right at the forefront. Are you guys close?
Yeah, we are really close. Yeah, Dev's got a great personality. He's a funny guy. So, yeah, he's awesome to play against. Play with.
As excited as you are to play this important role this year, you got to be happy for him too, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's an awesome guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Gabe and AJ, they help?
Yeah, for sure.
As far as you making that move? And
I mean, we'll in practice, we'll come aside and we'll talk about the play, how we can do it better. I can do this better. And, it's awesome. They're just great guys.
So we always finish up when we have a player on, and we do Know Your Hometown. So we ask you a couple of questions about where you came from. Now, you're a Westport, Connecticut guy. It's a struggle to live in Westport, I'll tell you. You only had 7 bedrooms in your house, right? So that's a starter home in Westport, right? No, it's a beautiful area. Holy moly, right? Paul Newman was from Westport. Have you ever heard of Paul Newman?
Yeah, sure. I mean, not too much, but I've heard of him.
He was a little older. I didn't know that would ring a bell, but that's from our days. But Go and watch Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, my favorite movie of all time. Paul Newman and Robert Redford. You're going to love it. Tell me you don't love it. All right, so a few questions about Westport, Connecticut. What is the county that Westport, Connecticut is in?
Fairfield County.
Fairfield County. Congratulations. You're off to a blazing start. That is fantastic. The crowd loves you. Absolutely. This is going to be an easy one. 2011, what famous actor donated land to the town or city of Westport?
Oh, Paul Newman.
Paul Newman is correct, absolutely. That we may have to send that to the judges. That may have been cheating. I'm not sure. I think I pretty much gave you that one. Staples High School is where you come from, right? You're a proud graduate of Staples High School. There are 2 middle schools in Westport, public middle schools. What are their names?
Bedford and Coleytown.
Bedford and Coleytown. Absolutely. You are running the table. Like you're putting Gabe Sloat to shame. Gabe was good. 3 of 5, I think, with Gabe. But you back and tell him that
you helped me cheat. So
here's you can't count the Paul Newman one. Local newspaper in Westport. What is it?
Westport News.
The Westport News. Not a tough name,
not a tough
at all. No. That's not bad at all. And I have one more, but I can't even read my own handwriting here, so I'm going to give you credit for that. You were perfect, I think 5 for 5.
For sure.
Hey, Cole, have fun this weekend with Dad and your uncle around and the rest of the family. And thanks for all your hard work and making this a great start to the season with the win against Holy Cross. CAA play now, right? It gets serious at this point, right?
For sure, yep.
Good luck under the lights on Saturday. We're rooting for you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you
Appreciate
very
it.
much. Cole Brockwell with us. Back to wrap it up with Coach in just a sec. Welcome back once again to the Mews Tavern. George McAuliffe over there hanging out with Matty Swiss, the chief and commander of Learfield, and the new guy is here too, right? Fred or Harry or whatever the hell his name is. I don't know. Stone is here. Stone is Stone Freeman, who's in charge of the Rhody Excellence. I went on the website, on the webinar, where Stone told all about the collective and everything about URI. Learned an awful lot. It was very, very well done. He did a great job with it, and we appreciate all that Stone is doing as part of our broadcast team and also all he's doing for Rhody Excellence as well, doing an awesome job. Andrew Meehan, who's our producer and engineer, doing an awesome job right here. A little round of applause for Andrew and for Harry over there and whatever. I got name tags. I just ask them, where are name tags, will you please? Coach, Saturday's a big one. You mentioned how important it'll be under the lights to have a full house celebrating a couple of the great teams in URI history as we root for URI to etch their name in that stone of great teams in this program.
I think it's a responsibility.
Yeah.
You know, and I talk to those guys, and I've become very close to a lot of them. You know, they talk about their days here, and there was 5 or 6 deep around the fence line. The stadium ain't changed. It's the same.
Yeah.
But the same thing, it was like the excitement and the enthusiasm associated with those years was, you know, something that's very memorable, and all the graduates remember that. We're trying to recreate it, and I think it's really a responsibility, and I'm begging, you know, get everybody out there, and let's go ahead at halftime, stay in the stadium when they walk out on the field right now, give them the round of applause that they deserve. Absolutely. Because they have set the standard, which we've been chasing for 11 years, and God willing, we'll be able to get it this year.
Absolutely. The Campbell Camels in town, right? That doesn't strike fear in the hearts of many. I don't know what will.
You take a look at the tape, and you might strike a little bit more fear.
Exactly. You got that right. Yeah. One more thing, Coach. Cole Brockwell is on with us, a big part of your defense, and I know somebody you're awfully proud of.
He's just such a great example of what our program is all about. We talk about accountability, productivity, and persistence. I mean, this guy has come from a partial scholarship guy, just like so many guys that we've had through this program that continue to develop, they continue to work, they continue to find a way to the field, and then, you know, anticipating a continued great season for him as he finishes this thing up.
Bring up a great point. There are guys that you can get in the portal and plug in to really help out, and you certainly have your share of those.
Sure.
Those are awesome. But the other way to do it is from the ground up and see a guy like Cole come and develop over the years and be an impact player when he's right there needed.
Well, when it comes down to it, you know, it means that much more to them. Things that are in this life that are earned and not given are very much more special. And Cole's a great example of everything in terms of hard work and perseverance. And I couldn't be more proud of a football player.
We couldn't be more proud of this team and you as well. We appreciate you very much. Good luck on Saturday, Coach. Let's go get one.
Yeah.
All right, get out there. 874-RAMS, GoRhody.com. George McAuliffe, get away from my pizza. See ya. Come to the Mews before and after the game. We'll see ya.
Thanks for listening to the Jim Fleming Show. Tonight's show has been brought to you by Rhode Island Medical Imaging, the official medical imaging company of URI Athletics. Dunkin' Donuts, Sip the Rhody Way. Ortho Rhode Island, the official orthopedic and sports medicine provider for URI Athletics. And by Pizza Gourmet. Rhode Island's wood-grilled pizza crust is a proud sponsor of URI football.